On day 1, I spawned in as a baby golden creeper. What is this place, and why are there so many mobs gathered?
The world has become overpopulated. Only one of each of you can survive.
Only one of us can live? What? No!
Son, you are the golden creeper. It is your destiny to defeat death and stop him. I know you can do this.
But how am I supposed to do this, Mom? Just then, Death cast a spell on all of us, killing my mother and all but one of the other mobs. Mom! Death began to tell us how we should be grateful for the new lives he has provided us with, until he noticed me.
A golden creeper? Impossible. You can't be real.
Death began to rain skeletons down from the sky in an effort to kill me. I began to dodge the falling corpses. As a baby, I only had 5 hearts, so I knew I couldn't get hit more than once. I jumped into the air to avoid their attacks and caused an explosion. Whoa, that was cool. Suddenly, a strange cow with an eye patch entered.
Golden Creeper, you must come with me at once.
I followed the cow. We ran out of the temple, eventually losing him. On days 2 to 3, I was following the cow through the world, who introduced himself as Mac. We entered what looked to be a run-down shelter. What is this place, Mac?
This is the safe haven that I've been building to keep everyone safe from death.
He told me that Death had begun to kill off most of the mobs in order to reduce the population.
Most species are down to one of each now. Families separate, kingdoms destroy. We have to fight back against him.
I was reluctant to join in the fight. I was too afraid of what might happen to me. The cow shook his head. Max said that for some reason, Death seemed very concerned with my golden creeper appearance. He believed I was super important and was a threat to Death. I'm not sure I can be of much use. I'm just a baby after all. What am I supposed to do?
Go to the Golden Temple and read about the prophecy. Be warned, though, Death's men have taken it over.
I looked around at all the sad and scared mobs that were here. I had to do something to help them. I mustered up the courage and agreed to go to the temple. Mac dropped me a stone sword and told me to be careful. I headed off. I had traveled for a long time when I finally approached a large, golden-looking temple. Well, I assumed this is the place. As I approached it, I noticed more of the Death's minions were here. I entered the temple, making sure to remain undetected until I came to a large, open room. There was a book in the middle, and I began to read from it. The book said that a hero with a pure heart would rise up against death. Death would fear this individual because he held the hope of the people in the world and could inspire them to fight back. In order to do so, he would have to lead a team. He would need someone brave, someone passionate, someone strong, and someone lost. The book ended, and I wasn't sure what it all meant, but I knew what I was going to have to do. I would need to assemble this team and defeat Death before it was too late. Before I left, I looted the chest near the book and got a set of gold tools. Mac was right. I just need to regroup with him. On day 5, as I was leaving the temple, I saw smoke in the distance where the mob shelter had been. I rushed towards it, but was met by Mac and a much smaller group of mobs that had lived there. What happened?
Death's men found our base. They began to attack us, and I tried my best to defend everyone.
He said that he was powerless to save his own family and a majority of the mobs. I'm so sorry. I need to make it up for them. I led everyone to a clearing and then went out to gather materials. I was able to gather wood and stone very quickly thanks to my golden tools, but unfortunately, they broke. With all the materials, I constructed a shelter for myself, as well as the other creatures that were with Mac. I added chests and furnace to my base, and then crafted a set of stone tools with the remaining stone and wood I had. Mac was very appreciative for what I did, and then asked what I had learned. I told him I had decided it was time to fight back. I was going to lead a team that would defeat Death. On day 6, I headed through the world in order to locate more members to join my team. I was confident I'd already found the brave member. Mac was ready to fight back against Death even by himself, but I would still need the others. I arrived at a destroyed village and began to look around for anyone or anything that could help me. There wasn't much, but I was able to find seeds in one of the chests, as well as harvest a small amount of crops from the farm. I continued on my journey, arriving at a neighboring village. Just like the previous, there were no signs of life here either. Where was I gonna find more people if most of them were gone? I was so frustrated.
Golden Creeper, the prophecy will never be fulfilled.
A group of undead mobs entered the base and began to charge at me. I was able to use my creeper explosion to knock them back. I used my ground smash ability to take some of them out before fighting the rest off with my sword. As I killed them, I grew into a full-size creeper. I even had 10 hearts. I also noticed I had gained something. It was a golden blast ability. One of the minions had dropped something. It was a map, but to where? I decided it was best to follow it. I followed the map to a demonic-looking place. What was this? I made my way inside and began to look around. I came to a large opening in the center, and to my surprise, Death himself was there. What are you doing here?
I could ask you the same. This is my fortress.
Why? Why do you hate this world so much? What reason can you have for wanting to kill so many innocent people?
Why, you ask? When I was alive, my father and I were poor and starving. I begged the people in our town to help us, but no one ever showed us any compassion. They left us there to die.
He said because of how many people lived in the village, food was scarce, and eventually his father starved to death.
I lost the only person I cared about. I came up with a solution to solve this problem and get my revenge. Every creature will be grateful for the new life I give them. No one should have to suffer again.
I'm sorry for the way they... He wasn't listening and began to attack me. I tried to use my abilities on him, but he was too powerful. I spotted more of his minions beginning to crawl out of every place in the fortress and knew I had to leave. On day 8, I returned back to the base, empty-handed. I had been overpowered by Death and his army. I was furious, but at least not all was lost. I had returned with a food source for our people. Mac and I got to work constructing a farm so everyone would have something to eat. As I planted the seeds, I thought about Death and his father. Why did no one help them? All of this could have been prevented. Max snapped me out of it.
Were you able to locate any more of the team members for the prophecy?
Unfortunately, I wasn't able to. All I was able to find was more death and destruction, just like you showed me. There has to be some place that Death hasn't reached, right? We just need to know where to look. Max suggested that I take a trip to the Arctic biomes. Maybe the cold was too much for Death and his army to handle. With no other leads at this point, I knew Death was not going to slow down at any moment, so I had to hurry. On days 9 to 10, I traveled into the snow biomes and started to hear cries. Someone else is here. I followed the sounds to a graveyard. I saw creatures and rushed towards them. I'm so happy to see more people. I thought everyone had been wiped out. The snow leopard spoke.
We were the lucky ones. Chester's brother wasn't so lucky.
I looked at the penguin who was mourning over a gravestone.
I wish you were here.
Well, there's a way that we can all make this right, I promise. I explained the prophecy and urged them to join the team. The snow leopard had introduced himself as Clyde.
We should be grateful for what we have.
He said no one should fight back and to stay away from his family if we knew what was good. He didn't want to mess with Death and risk the people that were still there to get hurt. The penguin looked hesitant. Clyde barked at him to come with him. What if he doesn't want to? Maybe let him make his own choices. Clyde began to yell at him again and told him to back off.
Enough. Just let me pee with my brother.
Clyde wandered off to another group of animals, and I was left there with Chester.
Tell me a way to kill this golden creeper.
So the prophecy has been set in motion. There is nothing you can do.
Chester and I began to make our way away from the graveyard and towards my base. He was still distraught about the loss of his brother.
I really miss him. He was much braver and stronger than I'll ever be.
I tried to encourage him, but he continued to talk about how incredible his brother was.
I'm not even sure what to do without him.
It all started to make sense. Someone lost. I reassured him that we would make things right. He told me he was excited that someone was fighting back. The penguin told me he wished upon a star that crash landed in the desert. Wait, what? A star landed in the desert? I told him I had to go investigate it. This had to be important. I gave him the location of my base and we separated. As I traveled towards the desert, I got a strange feeling. Suddenly, Death was in front of me, angrier than ever. I tried to apologize for what happened to him and urged him to reconsider what he was doing.
This world needs salvation, whether they like it or not. No one should feel the pain I felt.
He said I would ruin everything he has worked so hard to create and began to fight with me. I was far too weak to take him on now, so I had no choice but to flee while he chased after me. On days 13 to 14, I managed to escape Death again and made my way into the desert, and it was way hotter than anything I'd experienced, but I managed to find a large palace with a light shining from it. I entered it and began to search for anything of use. I found something in the center of one of the rooms. I grabbed it. It was a lost soul? What was this? Suddenly, I started to feel woozy and
Ready or not, here I come.
Whoa, that must have been Mac and his family before death started harming everyone. Everything seemed so peaceful and simple. As I was preparing to leave, I saw something strange moving across the floor. Tentacles shot up from the ground and began to attack me from all sides. I used my ground slam ability to fight them. More started to surround me, so I exploded, blowing up part of the ground around us and defeating them. One dropped something and I picked it up. Whoa, a golden tentacle. I was able to use it as a weapon and pull myself around the world. This is gonna come in handy. I left the temple with the soul and headed towards my base. On days 15 to 16, I entered and saw that there was an igloo there. What was this?
I built Chester a home while you were gone. He seems lost about his brother.
It was nice to see everyone was starting to get along. I asked Mac about where he lived before death started to attack. He described to me the same village I'd seen and talked about playing with his family constantly. So the vision I had was real. Something had sent the soul there and wanted me to see it. I knew what I was fighting for. I showed Mac the soul and he was not sure what it meant, but after explaining the memory, he knew that it was important.
Maybe someone in this world has like an idea of these things, you know?
You're probably right. I need to find more information on what these are and why they're here. I told my companions to watch over the base and headed out to explore more. I explored more of the world and hoped to find answers to some of my questions. As I traveled, I found myself once again confronted by Clyde. But this time, he wasn't with his group. What are you doing here?
I came to put a stop to you once and for all.
He said what I was doing was very dangerous and needed to be stopped before I hurt anyone else. I don't want to fight with you. You know we're on the same side, right? He didn't seem to care and lunged at me with his claws. It took some of my heart. I had to fight back or risk losing everything I was working for. I exploded and sent him flying back. He was resilient and charged at me again. I begged for him to stop, but he wouldn't. I don't want to defeat him because we would need everyone to fight against death. So I used my tentacle to make a quick escape. Once away, I realized that he had taken me down to only half a heart. Man, I was gonna need some upgrades to complete this mission. I headed towards a nearby cave. On days 19 to 20, I looked through the cave to find iron. I spent a good amount of time mining. It was worth it because I had enough to craft myself an iron set of tools and armor as well. I was feeling far more confident with myself thanks to my upgrades, but I was still puzzled. I was gonna have to find someone passionate and someone strong for my team. Clyde seemed to fit both of these, but he would never listen. As I went to leave, I spotted some gold, so I decided to mine it. As I collected it, I had another vision. I was in front of a strange looking outpost. I spotted a man fighting against the undead.
You will never take this world, you monster!
This must be one of my team members. He needs my help. I have to get there quickly. I headed off to the forest. I was wandering through it, looking for something that resembled what I'd seen in my vision. There it was. I quickly ran inside and called out for the hero that I saw. Where are you?
Who's there? Something to fight.
A pillager? What? An arrow flew past me. Hey, stop! He shot more arrows at me, and I quickly overpowered him thanks to my new upgrades. What is wrong with you?
All my friends are gone, and I haven't had anything to fight in a long time.
He introduced himself as Hank and told me that he missed players and villagers and had a strong passion for raiding and fighting. Passion for fighting the good. I guess in a world with slim pickings, this guy will have to do. I told him about my quest and why I would need him. The pillager was reluctant to join me, but decided it was better than being alone. I started to ask him about players, and he told me of a community that players used to gather at. I have to go there and see if I can find more answers for my quest. I sent him to base and headed out. On days 24 to 26, I was heading towards the player community I'd been told about. I spotted a massive horde of undead monsters that were searching for me. I could hear them calling out for the golden creeper. Oh man, I have to be careful. I can't be spotted. There was no way I'd be able to take all of them on at once. I did my best to sneak past them. I thought I was in the clear, so I tried to make a break for it, but the group spotted me and began to charge. I used my new tentacle and was able to take some of them down, but more and more were charging at me. I have to get out of here now. I used my ability to quickly make an escape.
Sir, the golden creeper is growing stronger.
He has left me no choice. I will kill every mob in this world and create new ones, grateful for the life I have given them.
On days 27 to 29, I made my way into the player community. Most of the buildings looked like they had been attacked. A player jumped out from one of the buildings and began to attack me. Ah, no! He stopped and looked at me. He apologized for attacking, believing I was another undead monster. He led me to his house to talk. Inside, he introduced himself as Steve. Wait, you're Steve? You look so different. He told me that he had been in this world for a long time. I showed him the soul and told him about the prophecy. He seemed intrigued by all of it.
From what you are saying, it appears as though these are the souls of creatures killed from death.
Because death took them before their time, their souls remained on Earth. Combining them might be able to unleash all the souls back into the world.
The prophecy seems to be missing something. Their team will need more to take on death.
Steve told me that each of them would need to possess a weapon that was close to who they were in order to take death down. I asked him if he knew where I could find more of the souls, and he suggested I check here before dropping me a map. He said he would do his best to locate more of them for me, and then we parted ways. I made my way back towards base, but I spotted Death perched upon a large mountaintop. I confronted him and told him that everything he had done would never last, as I would fulfill the prophecy.
I have a solution for that.
He said in order to stop me, he would just wipe out all life on Earth instead and create new creatures.
The new inhabitants will know nothing of the time before and be grateful for life.
You're a monster! I will never let you get away with this! Death told me he was done talking and summoned creatures to fight me. I fought back against them and was able to take them down. You're next. I started a fight with Death. I could tell I was starting to hurt him, but I would never last in this fight. I left as more undead started to rush towards me. Death laughed and said,
You cannot kill Death.
On days 33 to 35, I made it back to base and noticed that another house had been constructed. Chester and Mac had worked on a house for Hank, but he didn't seem to care at all. They were actually arguing.
I'm far stronger than all of you.
I broke up the argument, and Mac told me he didn't know how he felt about this guy. Hey, come on. He's passionate in some ways, especially about fighting. Back against Death.
If you believe in him, I will support you.
Mac told me that some of the people were starting to grow restless, and I would need to show them progress to soothe their worries. I told them I already had a lead on it, and was going to head off and make sure everyone knew I was making some progress. I stopped by a cave to find some quick upgrades. I searched for a while, and found enough diamonds for a set of tools and boots. I left the cave, and started to follow the map that Steve had given me. On days 36 to 38, I'd followed the map to a strange village. I looked around at all the destruction that had occurred. Clearly, Death had been here already. I'm not sure why, but Steve believed that the soul was here, and I had to trust him. I searched house after house, but everything was empty. I finally came across one house. Inside, I found a journal, and I began to read. It was a journal from a man who lived here with his son.
We have run out of food, and it seems that no one has enough to share with us. The only thing I care about in this world is my son, Thomas. Despite his resentment for them, I still know there is good inside of him.
His strength is unmatched. I offered him a spot on the team and told him I would share all the food I had with him if he accepted.
Nay, Brutus, may come with you.
Welcome to the team, Brutus. We walked off toward base. On days 42 to 44, Brutus and I returned, and I introduced him to the team. I showed off the soul I'd collected, and everyone was relieved to understand they were real, and this nightmare may come to an end. After that was in order, we built Brutus a home at the base, and I gave him some food. He quickly ate it, and I realized we were going to need a lot more. Mac and I got to work expanding the farm. That way, we can have more than enough food to feed everyone. Once I was finished, I talked to Mac about the need for each one of our team members to acquire an item that would help defeat Death.
I'm not even sure where to begin looking.
I told him Steve was certain about this, and our combined strength would be enough to take him on.
I think I might know what I need.
Hank had overheard our conversation and talked of an ancient crossbow located at the Pillagers' headquarters that was used in the first raid. Do you know where we can find it? He nodded, and I had him lead the way towards it. On days 45 to 47, we arrived at a Pillager outpost like I'd never seen before. This place was massive. We made our way inside and saw the remains of Pillagers and the undead scattered all over.
I was really hoping I was not the last Pillager.
I could tell that this was weighing heavy on on him, but we continued deeper into the headquarters toward the main building. Hank slowly walked through it, looking around, talking about how he had not been here since he was a child. But I was able to see the crossbow. Hank grabbed it and then began to sob.
I can't believe what this world has become.
Hey, everything's gonna be okay, all right? I promise. We all have to work together, and we'll be able to restore everything to the way it was before.
I'm ready. Let's do this.
We began to leave the headquarters, and hadn't made it far when I heard screams in the distance. Okay, Hank, you should probably go back to base. I'm gonna go see what's going on. I followed the screams to a small encampment in the snow, where I saw Death fighting with Clyde. I had to help him. I rushed in, and remember the journal I had. Wait! I dropped the journal to Death, who picked it up and began to read it.
My father, after all they had done, he still believed there was good.
There was hesitation in Death.
Maybe I was wrong.
Yes.
That was the past, though.
Wait, what? Death summoned lightning from the sky, striking all of us and killing Clyde's group.
What have you done?
He jumped at Death and started a fight with him. I had to help, so I began to use my abilities to hit Death as well. Death seemed frustrated by how powerful we were together.
Enough of this.
And sent us flying through the air. On days 51 and 53, we crash landed in the middle of a dark forest biome. Everything hurts.
This is all your fault. You had to interfere with everything, and look at where this got us.
I'm sorry for what happened, but you can never trust him. I'm gonna complete this and save everyone, whether you want to help or not.
You must
know what I'm doing is right, and I know it. You can help or you can live in fear. Either way, it's up to you. Choose how you want to live the rest of your life. I eventually made my way back, feeling so tired and weak. Chester quickly approached me.
Cho, while you were gone, I went out and made you these.
He dropped me a diamond chest plate and pants. Thank you so much. I looked around the base, and it was filled with life. Hank was starting to get along with everyone, and everyone seemed excited about me bringing them together. Steve then arrived and said he had great news.
While scouting the world, I spotted something. Deep in the jungle, there is a temple with a light like you described.
I was tired, but knew I would be able to rest when everything was right. I thanked Steve and headed off. On days 54 to 56, I made my way through the jungle until I came across a palace that had a beam of light coming from the top. I ran into a huge jungle monster. It started to attack me, but thanks to my new diamond armor, I wasn't taking as much damage. I used my abilities and was really starting to grow confident with myself. Our fight raged on, but after a good fight, I was able to take him out. When I defeated it, I gained another 10 hearts. Great. Now I have 20. I made my way through the temple to a large area. In the center was another one of the lost souls. I rushed towards it and grabbed it.
One day, Chester, this will pass to you. I don't know. I'm not as strong as you are, Dale. Yeah, you're right. You're stronger.
Another vision. I know what Chester needs. With the soul, I headed back toward base. On days 57 and 59, I made it back and decided it was best to stash away the souls for safekeeping. I told Mac that I had found the soul and we were close to completing the prophecy. He asked me what was next. I turned to Chester and told him it was time for him to get his item. It's your brother's ice staff.
Wait, what? How do you know about that? I'm not worthy to hold it.
You have to be. There's no time for us to waste. We have to leave right now. Chester told me he was far too afraid to go with me. Listen, we are all afraid of the unknown, but this is a time for you to find yourself. You're braver than you think. Your brother believed that, and so do I. Our team got together and encouraged our penguin friend that he was gonna be okay.
All right, let's go.
The two of us walked out of the base and headed for the ice temple.
How could I have been so foolish?
On days 60 to 62, we arrived at the Ice Temple, and I can tell it was weighing heavily on Chester. He remained silent. As we entered the large hall, Chester stopped for a moment.
I've not been here since Dale was killed.
It's almost over, buddy, okay? You just need to...
I knew I would find you here.
Death emerged from the shadows and began to attack us. Chester, get the staff and get out of here. We started a fight, and I bought enough time for Chester to acquire the staff and make a run for it. I was starting to be overwhelmed by the onslaught of attacks, but I heard something behind me. It was Clyde, and he joined in the fight. He apologized for the way he acted and wanted to make things right. Together, we were once again fighting Death, but this time on the same side. Death was starting to feel our attacks when he said,
I am tired of the two of you.
He struck Clyde, and I can tell that he was badly injured. Death flew off and left us there. I have to get you back to base. Maybe we could heal you there. I was rushing Clyde back to base in the hopes that we could possibly heal him when he stopped me.
I'm sorry for not realizing sooner. I see Chester deserved far better than the way I treated him.
You did nothing wrong, okay? You were just trying to protect the people that you cared about.
I was blinded by my own fear of losing the people I cared about.
He said that he knew everything was gonna be okay as long as I survived and continued on my mission.
There's one more thing I need to tell you. I think I know where the final souls are.
Clyde began to describe a large village he had passed by while traveling to my base. He said he saw a light coming from the center building. What he was describing was Mac's home village. I knew exactly what that place was.
Good luck, Fozo.
He then passed away. I will finish this for you and everyone else. Death will never win. I built him a small grave site before heading off to find the soul. On days 66 to 68, I made my way towards Mac's home village. I had been here in a vision, but things felt different. As I walked the streets, I got another vision of the time before death and how his village used to be filled with life. I was overcome with sadness. How could death become what he is now? I got even more sad to think about what he had done to this world. Hopefully, I'll be able to restore everything back to the way it was. I spotted the light coming from a large building and headed towards it. I entered what appeared to be a throne room. The soul was sitting on the top of the throne, and I quickly grabbed it, giving me another vision. I saw villagers planting strange-looking seeds in the farm before harvesting what appeared to be an enchanted wheat. I searched the chest in the room and found some of the seeds. I bet this is what Mac will need to find. With everything I had, I headed back towards base.
You are coming with me.
On days 69 to 71, I returned to base, but nothing was right. It was in total ruins. What happened?
Fozo, Death attacked and we were too weak to fight him.
I rushed into my home, and luckily the other souls hadn't been taken. Seems like Death hasn't caught on to what I've been doing. I gathered the group and noticed that someone was missing. Where's Mac?
He was taken.
Oh no, we have to go after him. The group didn't agree with me. They thought that they would die and the prophecy wouldn't be fulfilled. Man, I need to change their minds, but we couldn't leave the base in this condition. All of us got together and began to rebuild the houses from the damages. Listen, guys, we need Mac to complete the prophecy. I have to rescue him. The group looked around, still very worried about the mission I was about to go on.
I will protect him.
Steve volunteered to come with me and make sure I returned safely. It was settled then. I handed them the seeds I'd retrieved and told them to plant them. Steve and I then headed off. On days 72 to 74, Steve and I made it to Death's base. Together, we started to discuss a plan of how to save Mac. Steve said he would go and scout above and remain hidden. It was better that he believed I came alone. I agreed with him, and we split up. I entered Death's lair and spotted him standing in front of Mac inside of a prison cage. I am here for my friend. Give him to me.
I will make you a deal. I will free your friend and not harm anyone else in this world if you give yourself up now.
Mac yelled for me not to do it, but Death quickly silenced him. I didn't know what I was supposed to do.
That's not all.
Fozo, I knew you could do it.
My mother stepped out from the shadows. Was she really here? Death told me he would bring my mother back too. I just had to give up.
Come and give me a hug.
I started to walk towards her. Mom, you're back. As I approached her, Steve jumped out and hit Death. My mother faded away. It was all an illusion.
Get Mac! I will hold him off!
They began a fight, and I freed Mac. We turned to help Steve, but we were too late. Death killed him. No!
We have to get out of here right now.
We made it for the exit, and I turned back to see Death roar in anger. He was so close to stopping me, but Steve had saved me. I have to avenge him. I just have to. We returned back to base to deliver the bad news. Everyone was so excited to see our return until they noticed someone was missing. I somberly told them about the sacrifice Steve had made in order for us to escape. He believed in us, and we can't let him down. We have to find the final soul and restore everything to the way it was before. Chester approached and said the crops they had planted were ready. I brought Mac to the farm, and he collected some of the wheat. He instantly recognized it and said,
I thought these were all gone. I have not seen this since I was a child.
This was definitely Mac's item that he would need. He began to use the wheat, and it had healing powers. This is gonna come in handy. Brutus spotted us and said he believed he knew what his item was.
Let's go home.
He started to walk off, and I followed him. On days 78 to 80, I followed Brutus to a large large cave entrance. Where was he leading me? We entered, and we're in a massive open cave. What is this place? Why do you think your item would be here?
Brutus, home.
He explained to me that before death, this was where he and his family lived with many of the other bears. Brutus hadn't returned since death had taken everyone out. He led me to a spot in the cave, and there was a claw of some sorts.
Leaders wear ceremonial claw.
I can tell this was very difficult for him, and he was having trouble grabbing the item. You can do this. Everything is gonna be okay. Brutus grabbed the claw and equipped it. In a golden flash of light, I was transported to some undead-looking temple. It was guarded by Death's massive army. I could see a beam of light coming from the top and knew that this was where I would find the final soul. I was back in the cave. I told Brutus that we had to leave, but he didn't budge for a second.
Goodbye, father.
He started to walk out of the cave, and I realized why this was so hard for him. I quickly followed. On days 81 to 85, the entire team was assembled outside of the cave, and I told them what we had to do. The last soul is in a temple, crawling with Death's forces. It will take all of us to rally and defeat them. I thanked everyone for believing in me and helping me through this prophecy that was bestowed upon me.
Thank you for bearing this burden for us.
Shot, you really have been an inspiration for all of us.
You gave us all something to fight for when we seemed lost.
Bozo, hero.
With everyone behind me, we headed to the temple. As we arrived, there seemed to be no signs of Death's army anywhere. Suddenly, they emerged from everywhere and started to attack our group. We started to fight back against all of them, but more and more started to come. Mac told me to go inside and get the soul.
We can hold them off.
I rushed inside the temple to locate it. Inside the temple, more undead mobs continued to pop out of the corners and attack me, but I was far more powerful than they were at this point.
Do not let him complete the prophecy.
When will you guys give up? I was able to take each and every one of them down with ease. I continued to look around for the soul. Eventually, I spotted it. I then reached for the soul. We just need to get these back to base so I can combine them with the others. Then I can bring everyone back, even my mom. I rushed out of the temple and regrouped with my team members. Come on, guys. We need to get back to base fast. Everyone followed me back towards base. On days 91 and 94, we arrived and I gathered all the souls together. I waited, but nothing seemed to happen. Wait, was this all for nothing? I just want my mother and friends back. The ground then began to shake and all the souls formed into a soul stone. It began to emit rays of light and energy in all directions. There was a massive flash of light and then silence fell over my base. I grabbed the stone, but what had happened? As I stepped outside, I saw that there were more creatures than ever. Mac had his family. Wait, everyone had their family. Where was my mom, though?
You did it. I knew you could.
Mother, I'm so happy to see you. I can't believe you're here. She told me that she knew from this first second she saw me, I would be able to save the world.
With the souls combined, you may even be able to save Death himself.
There wasn't a second left to waste. Everyone said goodbye to their families, but we needed to go and end this now. On days 95 to 99, my team and I arrived at Death's base, and he must have expected us as his army of the dead was standing guard. With everyone together, I told them it was time to finish this once and for all. We all engaged in the fight. There were so many of the undead swarming all around us. Mac used his wheats to heal the members of the team. Hank used his crossbow with great effect to take them down at a range. And with Brutus's strength, we were able to cut right through the army and get close. When mobs would get close, Chester would use the ice staff to freeze them in place so that they could easily be defeated. Everything was going according to plan until Death emerged and summoned more of the undead. He then retreated back to his lair. It seemed as though we might be overrun by the sheer numbers. Chester called out to me and said,
Bozo, you have to stop him now. We can't keep fighting forever.
Brutus, clear a path for me. He was able to cut through the undead, giving me a clearing to chase Death. On day 100, I confronted Death. I told him that everything he had worked for had failed. Everyone is back, and you can't kill them again.
I will wipe you out and start again.
He started to use all of his abilities again, summoning undead creatures and making corpses rain down from the sky. I leapt into the air and used my ground pound ability to take out most of the monsters he summoned. I got close and started to use my golden explosion ability to weaken him.
You can't be this powerful.
He was weak and close to losing. Thomas, I'm gonna do this for you. I activated the soul stone, and in a flash of light, he was turned back into his human form. Listen, you have another chance in life, Thomas. There's still time for you to be good.
I think you're right. I should forgive and forget.
He stepped closer to me and then yelled, pulling out a dagger and rushing. Ah!
No!
Death was no more, and the world was restored to the way it should be. On day 1, I spawned in as a baby lava creeper. Whoa.
At last, we finally created the lava creeper.
Created me? What do you mean? The scariest cat I've ever seen walked in the room.
This creeper and his explosion is the answer to all problems. This world shall be ours.
Wait, what? My explosion is gonna take over the world for you? Suddenly, there was another creeper that blasted into the lab. But it wasn't any normal creeper, but a swamp-looking one. He began a fight against the cat scientists. He hit a button, and I was free. But a group of cat soldiers started to attack us. And suddenly, I exploded. I created a pool of lava around us, and the cats fell right into it.
Stop the lava creeper. He's incredibly unstable.
You have to come with me.
We kept on running and escaped the lab. On day 2, I was traveling with the swamp creeper, who began to express how much suffering the cats had caused this world.
You'll need to see this.
I noticed a village that was totally overtaken by cats, but not normal cats. They looked a lot different. Weston explained to me that the cats got so powerful with their science that they were able to evolve themselves into what they are today. We continued to walk through the world, and he showed me other structures as well, from desert temples to pillager outposts. Everything seemed to be infested. We arrived at the swamp creeper base, and it was filled with some strange looking creepers. I'd never seen anything like this before.
My name is Weston. These are our people. I built this camp for all creepers to come and hide after the cats took over. We have to fight back.
I agree. Suddenly, another creeper approached us and said there is an emergency that requires our attention. Weston told me to come with him, and we began to head to a nearby village. On day 3, we walked to a nearby village, which was totally infested with cats. I was too weak to fight, but the swamp creeper started running at them. A fight broke out, and the whole village was exploding. Finally, they beat all the cats, and it looked like we had won the day. But then Weston started to attack the innocent villagers. Hey, whoa, stop. What are you doing? These guys have nothing to do with the cats taking over. They're innocent.
The cats are relentless, and these villagers, they're just collateral damage. They would never spare one of us if they had the chance.
I saw everyone running away and screaming. I realized I couldn't stand by and do nothing. There was a villager that was hiding behind a tree. I ran up to him. Dude, you gotta get out of here. These creepers, they're not sparing anyone. I can't. I'm too scared. Suddenly, the creepers showed up. They were getting ready to blow him up, but I jumped in the way. We have to spare them. If we don't, they're not gonna be giving us any information, right? Maybe the cats will give us a ransom for him. The swamp creeper decided that I was right, and we led him back to our camp. On day 4, we threw our prisoner into a cell and sealed it shut. So when are we gonna let him back home?
We can never let him go home.
He continued to say if people don't care about us, we shouldn't care about them. This was our way of fighting back against them.
I look out for creepers, and creepers only.
How would the villagers ever be on our side if we just destroy their homes? I wanted to speak against them, but I thought maybe he knew better.
With your abilities, you're gonna be a valuable asset for our missions to come. Take these tools. You're gonna need them.
He dropped me a set of creeper tools before walking away from me. If our enemies are the cats, why are we attacking the villagers? I don't know if this is right. I knew it. You creepers are born to be evil. No, that's not true. We don't mean any harm. We're just trying to survive just like you. But the prisoner villager told me if what I was saying was true, I would have to prove it to him with my actions and not my words. I ran off quickly to prove to him I wasn't a bad person. After a while, I ended up finding some sheep. I quickly defeated them and collected their wool as well as their mutton. Perfect. I was getting a little hungry. Creepers have to eat too. But then there was a loud roar. What was that? One thing's for certain. I have to go investigate. On day 5, I went deeper into the woods and I stumbled upon a baby bear. And there was a massive mutated flower. The bear was crying out for help. I was afraid, but I rushed at the monster. The plant was able to summon razor sharp vines and they really hurt. I used my lava creeper ability though and was able to weaken him enough for my sword to deal the final strike. As I defeated the monster, I grew into an adult lava creeper. The bear rushed up to me, and I was expecting him to thank me, but he said,
The rumors are true, huh? The lava creeper is real.
He shouted the world is truly doomed now. Doomed? What do you mean?
We thought the cats were years away from finishing you. Everything now is gonna be over soon.
No, listen, I'm not working for the cats. I don't even know what you're talking about. The bear introduced them as Bosco and explained that everyone knew the cats were working on a lava creeper and they were planning on wiping out everyone in the world but themselves. Wait, what? No, that can't be my purpose. I would never do something like that.
Hey, yeah, whatever. Look, man, I'm still not trusting a lava creeper. You guys are kind of scary. I can take care of myself just fine.
Wow. As he walked away, horns sounded off into the distance, and they sounded like they were heading straight toward our base. Oh no. On day 6, I made it back to the creeper base, but just as I feared, it was under attack by the cats. Where is everyone? All of the creepers seem to have run away. I spotted the terrifying cat that I saw when I spawned in. What was this guy doing here?
Where is the lava creeper?
We were not able to locate him, Kingsguard.
Find him at all costs. We are running out of time. His instability will detonate him in no time.
Detonate? I was gonna explode uncontrollably? What?
Hey, over here.
I turned to see Weston was hiding behind one of the houses. I rushed over to him, and we began to formulate a plan to escape.
I'll distract him while you run.
Wait, what? No way, man. I'm not leaving you behind.
If they capture you, all hope in the world is gone. So just follow my orders.
Weston charged the large cat and began to fight him. I was preparing to escape, but Weston was clearly outmatched. He's not gonna like this. I ran to help him, using my creeper explosion to stun the cat for a second. Weston, we need to get out of here, now. We started to run as fast as we could away from the base, and I heard the cat call out for me.
I will find you. There is nowhere you can hide.
We continued to run away from the base and through a forest until Weston said he was not able to continue.
I need to rest. Badly hurt, kid.
I quickly gathered material from the forest and used it to build a small shelter for the injured creeper to rest in. I had to find something to heal Weston, so I ventured out to see if I can get anything that could help him. As I was traveling, I came across the villager that had been in our prison. You again. How did you get out? The villager told me that he was able to escape during the chaos and confusions of the cats. Those cats will never leave us alone. I remember the food that I gathered before the attack and decided to give him some. The villager thanked me. This is amazing. Myself and the other refugees were beginning to starve. You're not that bad of a guy after all. This villager apparently knew the purpose of why I was created. If that wasn't bad enough, I was going to explode uncontrollably at some point. This is awkward. Don't kill me. No, of course. Before we parted, the villager gave me a healing potion for Weston. I rushed home and gave it to him when he said,
"Where did you get this?"
I found it in the forest. It's not important though. Here, just take it. I can tell that he was very suspicious about it, but I knew he would never trust me. I told him where it came from. On day 8, I woke up to the sounds of explosions. I arrived at what looked like a villager camp. I saw Weston, and he was attacking all of the villagers and destroying their tents. What are you doing? These people mean no harm.
These are the people you got the potion from, wasn't it? We don't take them out, more creepers will be harmed.
No, you're wrong. I tried to explain to him that the villagers had nothing to do with the cats, but he wasn't buying it. There was no talking to him. He was filled with rage and continued to attack everyone and everything. No, I used my explosion to stun him. You need to stop what you're doing.
You just made the wrong choice, Fozo. Don't you see? I'm doing what's best for our species.
No, you are blinded by it. Everyone wants to get back at the cats, but this is not the right way.
Huh, you are naive. I know whose side you're on now. Watch your back.
He walked off. I looked around at the villagers. Thankfully, they were still here. Man, I'm just glad that I did something good. I headed back toward my camp. On days 9 to 10, I looked around my lonely home and kept thinking about what I have done. I knew that I made the right choice, but at the same time, I lost my only friend.
Hey, why the long face, dude?
I looked up and I saw Bosco the bear. Wait, you found my camp?
Yeah, it wasn't that hard.
I told him about the events from the previous day and how conflicted I was.
But you don't have long to dwell on it, all right? Sounds like you're primed to explode at any point.
Yeah, but I thought you were afraid of me. He told me that he was was sorry. What I had to deal with was way worse than anything the cats could do to him.
Why don't you come back to my cave, huh? You definitely seem like you could use a friend.
I thanked him for the offer, and we headed off to his cave. Bosco showed me around and told me I was free to add whatever I wanted. I used the materials I already gathered to build myself a small home. I then used the wool I gathered from the sheep to make myself a bed. After the build, I was feeling really tired, so I went to sleep for the night. On days 11 to 12, I was about to leave the cave and find anyone who could help me when a creeper showed up. It was the bamboo creeper that I saw at Wesson's base. Hey, what are you doing here?
Trying to find you. The boss wants me to take you off for him.
Hey, why? There's no reason for this. The villagers are plagued the same way we are.
To win a war, you have to make difficult decisions. You don't understand what he went through.
The creeper started to attack, and I had no choice but to fight back. He was extremely tough and hit hard. I didn't want to risk destroying my own base, so I had to fight him using my sword. After a long fight, I hit him to the ground.
Long live the creeper resistance!
I started to feel really weak. I don't feel good. I woke up and I saw that the base was partially destroyed. Oh man, that explosion was wild. I got to work and repaired the base when Bosco approached me. He said that he captured a cat and started to lead me to his location. We came across a cat in a cage and Bosco demanded that he talk. The cat refused until Bosco took out a fish.
Oh, you better start talking, buddy.
He threw the fish at the cat and he finally began to tell us who he was. The cat was very low on the force and never heard much about the bigger plans. So where can I go? How can I find out more about what's going on with me? And more importantly, how can I stop it? The cat told me that he knew of an old village that might have the answers we are looking for. I thanked him and headed off toward the location. On my way, I decided to grab some upgrades from a cave. My fight with that bamboo creeper was far too close, and I knew I needed to be better prepared. I crafted myself an iron set of pants and chest plate. I left the cave and continued on my journey. On days 15 to 16, I arrived at this massive village. I entered and began to realize that this place was completely deserted. I entered the large structure in the center and began to search it for anything that would be able to help me. Inside a chest, I found some food as well as a strange book. What is this? The Old Life? I began to read. Long ago, villagers and cats lived together, and there was a great time of peace. The villagers would provide the cats with food and shelter, and in return, the cats would ward off mobs, such as creepers. As the years went on, the relationship began to change. The villagers developed iron golems and needed cats less and less. Eventually, the book was cut off. I have to find out the rest of the story. I turned to leave, but there was a cat right there. He charged at me, wielding a sword, and I did my best to avoid his attacks. But man, these guys are so scary. I used my lava explosion and was able to take him down with ease. Wow. I need to be more careful. The cats seemed to have the ability to move so quietly that they were undetectable. I headed for the exit on high alert. As I exited the structure, a villager was standing there waiting for me. I thought this place was totally abandoned. The villager looked just as confused to see me there as well. I found a book in there that explained the past about the cats. Do you know anything about that?
Those were the good old days.
He continued to say that the ending of the book is not something many people know. The cats were tired of the way that they were treated.
After the iron golems came, we regrettably began to treat the cats poorly. We stopped giving them food, and they stopped protecting us. Some villagers went as far as shunning them from the villages. I did as well, and I only blame myself for this world that we live in.
What can I do to help? And why is this village so empty? The villager told me that a cat outpost is nearby, and they had been harassing this village for a long time. Unfortunately, most of the villagers didn't make it. I told them that I would take care of them and headed out. On days 19 to 20, I made my way to the cat outpost. As I approached, I noticed the banners that had been flying at all the villages. I entered and was greeted by a group of guards who started to attack. I quickly took them out with my creeper abilities and then made my way through the village, trying to cause as much damage as possible. It seemed as though there wasn't really any resistance here, and I started to question, why did the villager tell me that?
Ha ha! Exactly as I hoped!
Suddenly, the massive cat appeared appeared and started to attack. He was far tougher than all the cats I'd ever fought. I tried to use my abilities on him, but he was ready and easily evaded them. I tried to run, but more cats showed up and started to gang up on me. I was running low on hearts, and I had to surrender.
Now, you're coming with us, you creeper.
On days 21 and 23, I was taken to a massive cat prison. As we entered, I read a sign that said Alcatraz. Wow. What a strange name. These guys can't be serious. I was thrown in a holding cell. Ugh! And Skarn and a strange cat in a suit began to discuss their plans for me. It was nothing I hadn't heard before, but they referred to me as the key to their success. What is the point of all of this? Why do you hate everyone so much?
You weren't there when everything changed. The Iron Golems took over villages, and the villagers threw us away like we were nothing. Once we were abandoned. My family needed help, and I begged all the villagers for it, but none of them would listen. They said we had nothing to offer them anymore, so why would they offer us anything? It was your kind who killed my family, and I will never forgive you.
Creepers? They killed your family? Skarn walked away with the suit cat. What am I going to be able to do? Am I going to be able to escape this place? Man, I noticed that a portion of the prison cells seemed to be weaker than the other spots. I tried to use my creeper abilities and yes, I was able to break free from the cell, but an alarm started to sound. I had to run as fast as I could to escape. On the beach, I found a boat and used it to make my getaway. On days 24 to 26, I was traveling back toward my base, still thinking about what Skarn had said. What a terrible thing to happen to his family. There was an explosion that barely missed me.
You're a disgrace, Fozo. You killed one of your own kind.
It was Weston, and I assumed he was referring to the bamboo creeper. He attacked me first.
You're not a creeper. You're nothing but a monster.
He kept attacking me, and I was having trouble dodging his attacks. It doesn't have to be this way. But he didn't listen. I rushed towards him and used my abilities to stun him, which brought me enough time to run away.
I will get you. You're supposed to be our family. You're not one of us anymore.
On days 27 to 29, I returned to base and quickly caught Bosco up on everything that I saw.
Oh man, whoa. That's a lot to process, you know.
I'm not sure what to do. The cats are really powerful, and it seems like it's a losing effort. But Bosco told me not to give up.
What we need are some more allies, all right? We're in the right here. We just gotta show some people that.
That's a great idea. I know that this is a huge risk, but I think the only way is to go to the Swamp Creeper's base. I have to see if any other creepers feel the same way.
Just be careful, all right? Don't die.
I won't. I arrived at the base, and it was still destroyed. It looks like Weston never fixed it up after the cats attacked. I didn't see any creepers either. It appeared as though they were all still scattered. I heard a noise from the prison area and went to check it out. It was the desert creeper, and he was inside the cell. Hey, why are you here? What happened?
I disagreed with Weston, and now this is where I am.
We talked for a while about the other creeper's intentions, and he let me know he was asked to destroy a cat city nearby. Man, don't worry. I agree with you. Together, we're gonna make this world a better place. I freed him from his cell. You should head back to my base, and I'll investigate the city. Hopefully, you'll be able to be safe.
Be careful, Fozo. Weston is hunting you.
On days 30 to 32, I arrived at the cat city and began to sneak my way through the streets. As all the others I'd visited, they too were flying with the same banner. Where are all the people that used to live here? Did the cats take them too? I was starting to feel so angry by what these cats had done. I felt energy growing inside of me, and I let out a massive explosion. Cats started to run around from everywhere. I'd clearly blown my cover.
The lava creeper! There is a huge reward for him!
The cats rushed at me, and I exploded again, taking most of them down. The ones who weren't defeated ran off. Besides one, it was a small cat. She looked scared.
I don't know what to do. I don't want this war to happen. I'm just so scared.
Hey, don't worry, okay? I'm not gonna hurt you. I promise. I'll make a change the world needs. You can count on me. That was strange. Do some cats not agree with this takeover? Or was that just a coincidence? Either way, I needed to find a way to change everyone's view. I had to get out of here before Skarn and his men showed up. As I left, there was a cat in a lab coat standing in front of me. Where had I seen him before?
It's good to see you again, Fozo. It's been too long.
This was the cat scientist that created me. You are a monster. You and your intentions.
I'm here to offer you salvation. You're a ticking time bomb, and you're running out of time. You need us more than we need you.
Is he right? Did I need them? I thought about the possibility. No. I realized turning myself over to him would truly be the end of the world. I'll take my chances, Furball.
That's Professor Furball to you. Get him!
A group of cat soldiers appeared all around me and began to attack. I was quickly becoming overwhelmed. I used my abilities to create a distraction. I landed far enough away that I was able to make a break for it. I eventually lost the cats in a nearby area and headed home. On days 36 to 38, I returned to my base, feeling completely lost. I was gonna detonate and destroy all of Minecraft if I didn't figure something out and fast. Bosco approached me.
Hey, is everything all right, man?
I was created to end everyone in this world. How can I be okay?
Hey, don't talk like that, all right, you little creeper guy? You have become my friend and given a lot of people hope that you're good. Without you, who knows? I might not even be here.
Maybe Bosco was right. I had to keep fighting to try and find a way out of this mess. While I was gone, it looks like the Desert Creeper also arrived. Together, Bosco and I built him a place to stay and then started to make some other upgrades. With more people here, we were going to need a more sustainable food source, so we got to work on a farm. Once we were finished, I asked Bosco if there's anything that he knew that would be able to cure me.
You know, now that I'm thinking about it, there's an old legend of a witch who lives deep in a swamp. I don't know if the rumors are true, but hey, it's a start.
Yeah, you know, you're right. I headed off toward where Bosco said. It gave me a little hope that there may be a way out of this mess after all. On days 39 to 41, I was traveling through the swamp when a group of slimes approached me and said,
"Well, if it isn't the lava creeper, here to blow us all up, huh?"
I tried to ignore them, but they kept following me, and they kept bugging me about my explosion. How did these guys even know about it? Get lost. I continued until I came across a large hut. As I entered, there was a witch standing. She took one look at me and told me that I had to leave at once.
I will not grant you the powers of the swamp creeper.
Wait, swamp creeper? You mean Weston? How do you know who he is? The witch told me that long ago he had come to her when he was extremely lost.
Weston was just a baby creeper when the cats began to take over. They were relentless at first, taking out every creeper in sight. Only Weston escaped. His brother was not so lucky.
Wait, Weston had a brother? That's why he has so much resentment towards the cats. I told the witch about my situation and how I was a weapon made for them. She apologized and said she was unable to help me with that. All right, well, it was worth a shot. As I turned to leave, the witch stopped me and dropped me a map to a desert temple.
I truly want to help, but this is the best I can offer.
I thanked her and I left. On days 42 to 44, I was traveling back toward my base. As I traveled, I spotted more areas that had been taken over by them. There were villagers with cats sitting on thrones. I looked at the poor villagers, taking orders from them, and wanted to do something to help. There was no way I was going to be able to fight through all the soldiers. As I was preparing to continue on, one of them spotted me.
It's the lava creeper! After him!
I ran off with the cat falling close behind me. I tried to slip away from them in the forest, but they kept chasing. Eventually, I was able to find a good hiding spot. I think I lost the patrol.
Man, almost had him. Only like 60 days left or something until he's done for anyway.
I watched them walk off. 60-ish days left? With the cats gone, I continued on my journey toward my base. On days 45 to 47, I was approaching my base when I heard noises coming from nearby. I started to look for the source when...
Fozo! I brought someone else for you to meet!
It was a swamp creeper and he was with a snow creeper? What do you guys want?
I know you've been taking creepers to aid you, and this must stop!
Weston began to attack me, but the snow creeper didn't help him?
What are you doing? Attack!
I
called out for her to listen to me. You know what he's doing is wrong. We can all work together and we can do it without hurting innocent people. She looked conflicted, but then began to fight, but not against me, against Weston. He was furious.
You have corrupted another one of my family! You will both see when you cause the destruction of this world!
He stormed off.
I was too afraid to speak against him. You're so brave for doing so.
Hey, you can be too. Sometimes you have to make tough decisions to do the right thing. Now come on, I'll show you my base. We finally made it back to my home, and I showed Snowy around quickly. Afterwards, I got to work on a place for her to stay. I decided to collect some snow to give it an Arctic feel, fit for someone like her. She was extremely grateful. I caught Bosco up on the information the witch had given me and shown him the map that led to a desert temple.
A desert temple, you say? Seems like a strange place for some information.
But it's the only lead that I have right now. I also found out more about why Weston is so hostile to the cats and the villagers. It's honestly really tragic.
He isn't a bad person.
The snow creeper appeared and explained that despite all of his faults, Weston really just wants what's best for the creepers.
He would do anything to ensure our survival, however dark his actions may seem.
Yeah. And I can understand that to an extent. I just don't fully agree with it. I showed my map to the snow creeper, and she told me that she believed it was the location of an old cat temple. Why would the witch send me to a cat temple? Does she not know who I am? I didn't have time to think about it. I just needed to head off towards it and find out for myself. On days 51 to 53, I arrived at the desert temple, and I noticed that there were cat banners, but not like any banners I'd ever seen before. Was this area not loyal to Skarn and his army? I entered and noticed that the villagers were working for the cats here as well. I asked one of the villagers, hey, what's the reason for all of this?
The cats are our protectors. We take care of them, and in return, they shield us from all evil in this world.
It seemed as though this place had never developed iron golems, and therefore and never lost its relationship between the cats and the villagers. Is this what the witch had wanted me to find out? I asked the villager if there were any cats I could speak to, and he led me to the leader. I asked him if he knew what was happening in the world and how they managed to avoid the conflict.
Our people have been sheltered from this evil. I know of Skarn and his conquest of the earth. Unfortunately, now you know where our base is, so you can never leave.
A group of villagers started to rush at me and attack. Stop, guys! I had to get out of here. I used my lava ability to distract them and jump away. I rushed outside of the temple. Man, your secret is safe with me, but geez, you guys need to chill. On days 54 to 56, I was outside of the temple, and standing in front of me was another humanoid-looking cat. I prepared for a fight, but he told me, hey, Fonzo, I want to help. He continued to say that he didn't work for Skarn because he felt pity for the villagers and all of the mobs under attack from them.
Yeah, all this cat stuff's kind of nonsense. If you come with me, I can explain more.
All right. I decided to trust him, and we traveled to his base, where he told me that he wanted to find a way to disarm me. Wait, really? You want to help? How are you going to be able to do that, though? The cat told me that he needed me to go out and find his tools from the secret cat facility.
I was a scientist there working with Professor Furball. Man, that guy's creepy. He made me realize how wrong we were. Not everyone was responsible for the actions of the few.
He went on to tell me that his name was Sylvester, and me and him seemed to share the same views on what was going on. I was glad to have finally found someone who agreed. So, what do I need to do? He laid out his plan and dropped me a map. He said it would take me to a secret facility. All right. Thanks, Sylvester. Time to go find out for myself. On days 57 to 59, I arrived at the facility where Sylvester said he used to work. This place was swarming with cats. I started to creep my way through the corridors. No pun intended. I made sure to check around corners before continuing. If anyone spotted me, I would surely be done for. I eventually came across a room that was labeled Sylvester's lab, and I entered. There, I started to open all the chests until I found his tools. Yes! As I was about to leave, Professor Furball and Skarn started to come inside. I had to hide quickly.
When will the machine be ready?
It will be ready once the lava creeper is captured. You don't have to worry.
Good. With this, we will surely be able to amplify his blast and rid the world of all these non-cat creatures.
Amplify my blast? Was this how they were going to use my explosion? And apparently, it will only affect non-cat-like creatures. I had to get back to Sylvester and give him his tools. It was clear that I was running out of time. On days 60 to 62, I returned to Sylvester's base and handed him his tools before asking him about the machine.
The machine. I feared they would follow through with all this. Before I realized how evil Skarn's intentions were, they asked me to create a machine that would help amplify the effects of whatever mob was inside. Little did I know, their plan was to use it to increase your explosion to specifically target non-feline cat creatures.
He told me he regretted that he even built it as far as he did. It was clear that we were gonna have to work fast, not just for my survival, but what seemed to be the survival for everyone. Sylvester said he would get to work immediately and thanked me for my help in acquiring the tools. I headed back to my base, and when I arrived, I noticed that Bosco had been working hard on the farm.
Yeah, I was getting hungry or whatever, so I decided to make some food, dude. Look at all this.
Wow, thanks. Since I had some spare time, I decided to expand my own home as well. Now it was really starting to feel like a nice place to live. I was woken up to the sound of panic outside my house. I rushed outside and saw the Savannah Creeper was there. Hi. What are you doing here? Wait, did you change your mind about the Swamp Creeper?
Yeah, that guy is bad news. I need your help. Please come quick.
He told me that there was no time to explain. All right, man. Whatever you need. We rushed away from my base. We've been traveling for some time before I asked him. So, what's this emergency we're running off to?
Oh, I lied. The Swamp Creeper needed you to be distracted.
It was a trap. The Creeper started to launch explosions at me like Weston. It was obvious he had shared some of his powers. I had to get close to him so he would risk damaging himself too. Once I was close, I started to use my sword. I was running low on hearts, but I was able to take him down. Oh, man, it didn't have to be like this. I was weak, but I had to rush back to my base to help my friends from Weston. On days 66 to 68, I rushed back to my base and saw that it was in total ruins. Everything was burning. Hello? Is there anyone here?
Bozo, over here.
I looked and saw Sylvester was badly injured. What happened to you? Where is everyone? He told me that he had arrived to deliver some news, but saw the Swamp Creeper attacking the base. Sylvester had tried his best to stop him, but he was quickly overpowered.
I could only watch as he took Bosco away with him. I need to tell you though.
There's no time. I have to save Bosco. I rushed away to the only place I could think he would take him. On days 69 to 71, I reached the Swamp Creeper's base and saw Bosco was being held in a cage.
Fozo, watch out!
An explosion landed right beside me.
This is where it ends for you, Fozo. You made the wrong choice.
Weston, you don't understand. If I don't find a way to stop my explosion, everyone in this world will be wiped out.
You chose your side, and you'll have to deal with it.
We engaged in combat, and I threw everything I had at him. His explosions were still devastating, and I used my lava explosions. Weston, listen, I know what happened to your brother.
My brother? How dare you bring him up?
I'm so sorry for what happened, okay? But just because you lost someone close to you doesn't mean that you can just take it out on everyone else in the world.
Shut up!
No! I used my abilities until he couldn't fight anymore.
What are you waiting for? End it!
No, not like you. You need to understand. We're on the same side. I know you lost your family, but us creepers, we're your family too. The rest of the people in this world, we can all get along. You need to stop being so blinded by your rage. I know your past was hard, but you need to start looking at the brightness of the future. I freed Bosco, and we started to travel back toward my base. On days 72 to 74, we got back to the base and started to repair the damage that the Swamp Creeper caused. It took a while, but we were able to restore everything back to normal. Bosco was glad I came back for him. I told him that I had no choice. He was my best friend.
Seriously, buddy, I really appreciate it.
I went back to check on Sylvester and see what news he had for me. Sylvester told me that I was not going to like it.
Unfortunately, from my research and trails, there's no way to disarm you. I'm sorry, Creeper. I failed you.
There's no way? That means no matter what, I was gonna die. No, I'm not gonna believe you. I have to find out another way. I knew that Sylvester was gonna need a place to stay, so I got to work constructing him a house. Suddenly, the witch arrived at my base and told me that she wanted to help.
I was hiding the information of Weston's source of power, but I have realized I was wrong.
She continued to say that there was a temple attached to a graveyard. Maybe there I could find a solution. I have to. I can't give up. And I headed off. On days 75 to 77, I was on my way toward the temple the witch told me about, and I started to notice things were getting a lot worse. More and more cat villages seemed to be popping all over the place. Most of them had no villagers inside as well. Man, I hope there's a way to fix me here. If not, it might mean the end of the world for all of the creatures here. Eventually, I came to the graveyard and saw the massive structure. This must be the temple she was telling me about. I made my way towards it and entered.
And I really let my hatred for the cats blind me from the truth? What? What have I done?
On days 78 to 80, I made my way through the temple and found a large, open door. It seemed to be totally empty. I called out, "Is anyone there? Hello?" There was a loud, booming voice that said,
"Hello, Fozo. I have been expecting you."
I turned around and saw a massive, ancient creeper. Who are you? And what is this place?
This is the ancient creeper temple. I know why you are here, and I have to apologize.
Apologize? Wait, you can't fix me too?
Unfortunately, there is no cure for what the cats have done to you. I can, however, offer you some advice. You were created to destroy this world, but you can use this as a way to save it. The choice will always be yours.
He walked away. I was left there. Save the world? I started to head for the exit. I left the temple, and waiting for me was a massive group of cats. The cats told me to surrender, but I refused. I started to fight back against them, but there were too many, and I was quickly overwhelmed. I was captured. The cats brought me back to the prison, but this time, there were villagers in all the cells next to me. All the villagers were begging the cats to let them go. Do you guys all feel good about yourselves? Do you know what you're doing?
What are you talking about?
These villagers have nothing to do with the issues that Skarn went through. None of them. You are pinning the actions of the few on all of the people who have nothing to do with this. I can tell the cats were starting to think about their actions. Suddenly there was an explosion, and through the smoke, was that Weston?
Fozo, follow me!
Weston, I'm so glad you changed your mind. Suddenly, though, we got surrounded by cats.
Listen to me. You need to get out of here. You have to stop Skarn and save everyone.
He started to charge himself up. Weston, what are you doing? Stop. You don't have to do this.
You need time, Fozo. You are the person who made me see what I was doing was wrong. And for that, I'm forever grateful. This is the only way to save the world. I believe in you.
Weston! Weston! No! He let out a massive explosion, taking himself out and blowing up much of the creeper prison. I rushed away from the prison and headed toward my base. On days 86 to 90, I returned to my base and was greeted by the witch. I delivered her the bad news.
Oh, Weston, he was one of the best creepers I ever met.
I know. He truly was watching out for all the creepers until the very end. Together, we started to build the shrine for him. Weston was deep down a great creeper, and at the end of the day, he redeemed himself as even a better friend, and I hope he's with his brother now. Bosco approached me and asked me if I was able to find a way to cure myself. I didn't have the heart to tell him.
You have to tell me, Fozo, what's going to happen?
No, Bosco, I just need time. I walked away from him. I was very tired, so I decided to do what I hadn't done in a while and went to sleep. On days 91 to 94, I woke up to the sound of fighting. What is going on? I rushed out and saw the base was under attack from the cats. I started to fight back with my friends, taking as many of them down as I could. I screamed at them. None of this had to be this way. Look at yourselves and ask if your lives are worth the ambitions of one selfish cat.
I have a family to protect.
Same here. I have a son.
And listen, guys, put them first. Because if you don't, I guarantee you're only putting their lives in danger. The cats began to drop their weapons and flee my base. I knew it was time for me to go and make my choice.
Where are you going, Fozo? What's going on?
I'm sorry, Bosco. There's no cure for me. If I don't stop them now, they're just gonna make another me. I have to sacrifice myself.
You can't go. What will I do without you?
You'll survive, Bosco. It's the most important thing to me.
Fozo! Fozo!
On days 95 to 99, I made my way to the cat facility and saw the cat from the prison standing there with a group of cats.
Stop right there!
Leave me be. There's no reason for you to be doing this.
Don't listen to him. Capture him.
Skarn appeared and started to order the cats to attack me, but none of them moved. The cats started to scramble and run away from the base.
You cowards! Professor Furball, capture him!
The professor rushed at me with a netherite sword and started to slash me.
You're going to get in that machine right now!
I had to fight back against him and was able to take him down with my lava abilities. I could feel myself starting to grow hot and knew I was priming to explode at any minute. And on that note, I rushed toward the machine. It was day 100, and I knew my explosion was coming soon. I had to be near the machine and destroy it so another me could not be created. Suddenly, I was hit from behind, and Skarn was fighting with me.
Get in the machine now!
No! You may have created me to be a monster, but I refuse to let that happen. Even now, he was still far more powerful than I was. I could feel myself growing hotter and hotter. I started to hear a strange noise and knew it was close to the end for me. You have lost, Skarn.
No, it can't be.
It is. I'm sorry, Skarn, but this is how it was meant to be. Fozo! Fozo! No! It happened! Man, you did it, Lava Creeper. You saved the world.